We did close at the bottom of the implied move though. Uh, well, the average implied move for both chains. Um, so the loss, the most of the downside for the day retained a little bit, still a little bit higher than the overnight low, but not much, you know. So we did get a big bump of volume, slightly higher close, but close below VWAP. There's probably room to the downside to test the 6812 level, or retest it. That's an important point for downside continuation. Yeah. Over here on the dollar, dollar slumped a little bit. So the yen, euro up today. Yields at the top end of the curve up quite a bit. 10-year back above 4. Well above 4. 20 and 30 both moving up to like 4.7. So big moves there. Also the 2 and the 5 moving up pretty substantially. But buying in the short end. 6 and 3 month moving down. Correlation started to break down a little bit today. 3 month correlation turning around, and core 1 month turning around, but not regaining the high of the day. However, very close at close. Still seeing silver rocketing up, gold overperforming. I mean, it's doing well, and oil getting close to 60 a barrel again. Bond volatility probably moved up quite a lot today after several days of decline. Leverage on the carry trade close to all-time high, but a little bit short. That moved up into close. Leverage on the short end of the trade moving up, and forward yield on volatility at -6. Skew. This is gonna be from Friday, but it fell a little bit. Looks like breadth is still mostly fine. Probably had 20-day movers pull back a little bit today. Correlation with VX cash VIX. Well, it's interesting because VX ended up today alongside VIX. VIX and VIX 3 month. Correlation increasing over the last 3 days, so it makes sense that we're starting to see a little bit of downside. I think what's interesting about this is, they tried to break correlation back here. They started shorting vol, and we started to get a decline, but it only lasted 1 day, and we're already starting to see correlation pick back up again. So very possible that the rally that we've gotten out of the local low is simply not a real rally, right? Maybe it's just a capitulation rally, and we're going to start to see short vol bail if we fall back into a negative gamma environment, which isn't that far from spot. I mean, it's 67.37 right now. Probably moved up today too, so something to watch. Back here. Fed fund futures pricing out rate cuts both for December today and January, March, and June. Pretty significant declines there. The 10-2 moved up 7%. Putting market predictions a little closer to a recession. This is the big worry. The SOFR spread on IORB is 22 points right now. I believe back here at the end of October, the highest the spread got was that 15 to 31, so it was like 16 points. This is a situation which I said is likely going to get worse, and it is. Not only that, this is the first time I think I've ever seen the spread blown out beyond the end of the month. Usually once the month is over, you get some stabilization. Now, Friday was a half day, so there's something to consider there. We might see a little bit of stabilization in the spread tomorrow. However, if it continues to widen, that's going to be a big problem. And we're seeing that reflected in like the riskiest of assets, you know, Russell, Bitcoin, 20-year US Treasuries. Up volume today sucked. So we got a breakdown in the uptrend or the momentum. Every fucking time. Oh, you bitch. Okay. Leverage is falling off. Price came down a little. Leverage fell off really hard Friday and today, and that's definitely an effect of that spread, right? Leverage is margin, front end rates, and cost of near term capital both significantly impact large margin positions, and so we're seeing leverage decline in line with that difficulty to get short term cash. On the technical side of things, well, we got a breakout from the downtrend, but now it's really close to failing again. Obviously, a slip to the downside of the trend here, 67.64 is the downside target where we would watch to confirm a failure. If we do fill that downside gap and fail, we would probably expect to retest the lows somewhere in the 6,500 range. This doesn't look great. Obviously, this can turn the other way as well. This is kind of an inflection point. So if we do get a bounce into tomorrow, look to 68, 69 to the upside is the next resistance. But yeah, I would say this doesn't look particularly great right now. And in October, it took several days beginning of November, it took several days to get the spread in line. I think it wasn't until like November 5th that we saw things start to normalize. And with the spread even more blown out here, it could be worse. So yeah, keep an eye on that. Looks like everything but Nvidia and Apple selling off today pretty much. So broad sell off, which is definitely just de-risking, and I think that's pretty highly correlated with the drop we're seeing in BTC. So generally de-risking without any kind of substantial rotation is significant. So I would say that this gives the rest of the technicals a pretty bearish bias. Apple at all-time highs though, and it's flight to safety, right? If you were gonna pick two stocks that you thought would just survive anything, what would they be? Go on, I'm listening. There's a correct answer, and then there's this answer. Campbell's soup, my man. Anyway, I will catch you guys tomorrow. Later.